we just don't know what we don't know with some of the tracking devices. So they are not 100% accurate. And so this is where looking at the gut, the metabolomics, you can do a continuous glucose monitor using the DEXA scan, looking at your blood labs. All these things are so important when it comes to tracking your energy levels. What I kind of do is I like combining more of the macros, the protein macros, with more of the leaner cut meats, with the sirtuin-based diet, which is a lot of great vegetables, chocolate, all the polyphenols that you get from the herbs and spices. That's my favorite, with a little bit of like some kamut bread if my wife's made it. But a lot of you're eating great food, but you're not able to absorb the nutrients in the food because you've never done a proper detoxification.
All right. Good afternoon and welcome to the Health Accelerator Challenges. This is your host, Cade Archibald, and I'm joined by none other than Regan Archibald. Regan, how's it going?
Going great.
Awesome. Well, last week we had a really cool Health Accelerator challenge. We talked about some really cool case study as well as some bioregulators, and touched on some carotid artery scans as well. So the challenge was to either, if you haven't tried bioregulators, if that's not something that's maybe part of your program, or you haven't tried those, to reach out to us and try them out. Do a test run on those, or if you've already got some of those, try the carotid artery scan if you haven't already. So that was the challenge that I came up with last week.
Great.
And yeah, so I'm excited about today. We got some really cool people on live, as well as lots of people listening to the recording. So let's dive in.
Okay. So today what we're going to be talking about, because I've been getting a lot of questions on the CellCore Foundation, what it's about, how to have like just incredible energy. So what we're going to be covering is how to remove interferences. And these interferences are things that can get in the way of our energy reserves. And what that means is, if your energy levels aren't where you want them to be, then you want to say, well, what's going on? Where are things jammed up? Because, Kate, I don't know how you feel when your energy is great, but I know I feel amazing, and that's what makes things so much better. And so before we jump in, I want to ask you guys, if you had to rate your energy levels on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being amazing energy, the best, 1 being I can barely get out of bed, how would you rate your energy levels? And so plug them in the chat box. I'd love to hear those. Kate, how would you rate your energy?
I would give it a 9. Is this scale of 1 to 10?
That's a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. And energy level 9 on most days. Awesome, Georgia. 10, Charlotta. Yeah, solid 4. We got to work on that. A solid 4 is not where we want that. Yeah, 10 is where it's ideal. You feel great. You have good energy all throughout the day consistently. 1 is you barely can get out of the bed. Hey, Hugh, about an 8. It's gone up since I started this program. So happy to hear that, Hugh. So keep that up. Good. So we got some 9s, 10s. So well done. So energy reserves are really important. And so some of the tests that we run for energy are the gut test. And the gut is really important because what it shows is how well your body actually utilizes its second meal. Because remember, our bodies eat twice. Once when our bodies eats for its own caloric needs. The second time our body eats is when it hits the gut. So kind of interesting. Good. We got an 8 to 9 on most days. Awesome. Keep them coming. So far we got 1-4. So Charlotta, we need to talk. That's not good. Yeah, but the other test that we do is metabolomics, and we just, Cade, the podcast that we did on metabolomics, where I did the, basically the cheat sheet on metabolomics, what it means. You guys can now get that on our podcast, so on Unreasonable Health. So jump into that, and then the other test that you can do to see how your energy levels are performing is your blood test. And this is really important because I just talked to a client, and I've had several of you ask about your blood work, what it all means. And then this particular individual was using a tracking device called a Whoop. And I've had this conversation a few times this week, so I figured it would be helpful to bring it up right now. But some of your tracking devices like the Whoop, the Oura Ring, your Apple Watch, I'm probably missing a couple others, but they track your sleep cycles. And a lot of us, myself included, you can get really drawn into the measurements. So you'll say, well, even though I feel great, I think I slept awesome last night, my sleep device says that I slept crappy. And then there's this nocebo effect where you tell yourself that you feel bad because the metrics weren't right on your device. And I've had several of our clients who, by all measurements in the blood labs, look impressively better. Their devices don't reflect that. And so this is where there's two things that I've looked at. And some of these things are where devices don't recalibrate as our biology changes. And so this is almost where if you just got rid of that device, just reset it, shut it down, turn it back on, you might notice that your heart rate variability looks better, your sleep device, your delta looks better, everything looks better. But the other thing that you want to look at is we just don't know what we don't know with some of the tracking devices. So they are not 100% accurate. And so this is where looking at the gut, the metabolomics, you can do a continuous glucose monitor using the DEXA scan, looking at your blood labs. All these things are so important when it comes to tracking your energy levels. And the other thing that we're going to jump into is our overall program called the CellCore program. And I will share my screen right here, and we're going to start from here. So how many of you have done detoxification with CellCore, and how many of you love that process? We probably get, some of you have to go slower at it, but the majority of people who make it through CellCore, we just ran a metabolomics again. Today I went through one of your metabolomics, and I hope you don't mind me sharing. I won't say your name, so no one will know who I'm talking about, but we ran your metabolomics 7 months ago. And then we decided, let's do this again at the end of 7 months to see what's changed, because Cade, what you'd see is his toxic burden was maybe 50% were in the red. His dietary peptide markers were all in the red. So he wasn't building muscle mass. But he was super toxic. He had a lot of heavy metal exposure, a lot of mold toxicity. His dysbiosis was really off. And we ran his metabolomics again today after he finished CellCore. We put him on the comprehensive. Comprehensive is 5 steps, by the way. And his toxic metals were all perfect. So yes, awesome. Yes. And so, feel like a younger person. Yeah. Isn't it crazy when you do the detox? CellCore just makes you feel lighter. You feel more energetic. Digestion moves better. Yeah. Hey, Bev, good to have you on. Bev said it was so slow. I had to enter a 5 on energy. So yes, that's Bev. I'm looking forward to seeing Kyle. I think next week I get to see Kyle, or he's in town. And Hugh, yeah, both you and your wife are in stage 3. Yeah. And it's fun because as you go through these steps, and we'll cover these a little bit just to give you guys the overall perspective of why CellCore. But some of the things that I've noticed that will add more energy as you're doing CellCore is if you have some pretty severe digestive issues, you want to take GI Synergy. And GI Synergy is from Apex, and it's a really good combination of antiparasitic, antifungal. It even helps with dysbiotic tendencies in the gut, while helping to repair the gut lining. You can add in some small amounts of fermented foods. Sometimes fermented foods can create a histamine response in the body, so you don't want to add too many of those. Adding in beets. I've been doing some just to make my life easy. I have beet juice, and I just drink a shot of that in the evening. And it doesn't taste very good, but man, it's a great way of getting you, because it's all fibrous. I just get it where they ground and just kind of put it in a blender and put it in a bottle, and it's easy. And then collagen's a great thing for the gut. Colostrum is an amazing, the lactoferrin in colostrum has been shown to help repair the intestinal lining, especially if you have higher levels of eosinophils. Bone broth can do some of the same thing. So remember, bone broth and collagen are not, these are not full. They don't have all 9 of the essential amino acids. They have 8 of the 9. They're both missing tryptophan, but they both can give you a massive amounts of energy, great for weight loss. And then the resistant starches and lots of vegetables. These are some great ways to have incredible energy. Cade, what else would you say creates incredible energy for you?
Getting the right amount of protein is really critical, is what I've seen. So that obviously sleep, and then movement, like exercise. I notice if I don't get a good workout in the morning, I'm a lot more kind of sluggish and feel get less energy later on in the day.
Crazy. And the thing that's nice about veggies is, if you do it on your own, like I just put salad right in my mouth and just eat it. And it looks ridiculous. Cade, I don't mind around Cade just looking like a caveman, but yeah, then this morning, I'm doing my salad, and then, now we have all the thyme, the basil. I had a ton of basil. I almost ate the whole thing. The mint is going crazy. Our peppermint, spearmint, lavender is starting to go off. I mean, there's so many things you can do to get cool veggies and herbs in, but these things all help the energy. And we're not going to talk about sirtuins today, or the sirtuin diet, but I find that to be super energizing. So what I kind of do is I like combining more of the macros, the protein macros, with more of the leaner cut meats, with the sirtuin-based diet, which is a lot of great vegetables, chocolate, all the polyphenols that you get from the herbs and spices. That's my favorite, with a little bit of some kamut bread if my wife's made it. That's kind of like the ideal diet for me.
That sounds awesome. I like that.
Yeah, it gives me lots of energy. So CellCore, there's 4 steps that, and unless we put you on the comprehensive, but as you guys go through these steps, what you'll notice is that each step is designed to help open up a very specific pathway up front. So the big problem with detoxifications, and especially when it comes to longevity and maximizing your body's overall health and energy, is people will go through the CellCore process, or they'll go through a detox, but they won't put energy back into the tank. And so the step 1 in CellCore is all about energy and drainage. And so this is where you'll notice there's the KL support, there's the biotoxin binder, there's the TUDCA, and then there's the CT minerals, or the BC ATP. And what these are all designed to do is to go upstream and first get the lymphatic system optimized, get your gallbladder so you're clearing out all the gunk in the gallbladder, and then opening up all the biliary ducts in the liver. And Cade, I think I mentioned you the client that I had that he was basically he got sent to multiple cardiologists because they thought he was having a heart attack, but nothing showed up in his heart. And did you hear that story? And I was like, and then I ran it when we ran his labs. He was really frustrated because he's like, I don't know. They just diagnosed with pericarditis. We ran his labs and his bilirubin's like off the chart, his GGT's off the chart, and we're like, oh, you had gallstones. So he's like, that's what it was, because you can have the same symptoms. But one of the things, if you're going to detox, you've got to have your gallbladder functioning.
Yeah, it can, that when that thing gets gunked up, it gets really uncomfortable if you're trying to detox.
Yeah, you start passing stones. I've had patients bring their little gallstones in, like, I think I passed my gallstones. I'm so excited. But that's kind of phase one, get your body prepared for that. And the TUDCA is interesting because there's a little bit of melatonin in it, like trace amounts. But the reason why there's melatonin in there is because a lot of the melatonin, we think it's just made in the pineal gland, but it's made in the ducts of the liver. And so what that does is it causes a contractility of those liver ducts so that you have better movement of bile. And bile is what breaks down and emulsifies fat. So it's a pretty phenomenal product. And TUDCA is naturally, it's a acid that naturally exists in your gallbladder. And so this energy and drainage is really important. And then the BC, the brain carbon ATP, ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. That's your energy production in the brain. But what that does is it mineralizes your entire body. And so I've been mentioning kind of that magnesium float to a lot of you. And Bev, it's right there in Camas. There's a place called Sink Float. And so you want to, if you haven't gone there already, Bev, go get into that, the salt bath there. And it's a sensory deprivation tank. And so you just slide into that thing, and because of the amount of magnesium in the water, it makes you buoyant. So you can just kind of rest your head back on this little kind of floaty device, and you just go into a deep state of meditation. Those are pretty cool, aren't they, Cade?
It's so cool. Yeah, we have one in St. George as well, and it's just a really cool experience. Get to just experience like weightlessness and just like pure relaxation.
It's really nice. And your body just feels really energized. But that's one of the things that CellCore is doing, is you're getting all these charged particles because the body is carbon. So our body is made up of about 85% carbon. And so carbon has 8 bonds. So you can attach multiple things to it. And so there you go, Bev. Yes, I will indulge. Awesome. Get after it. You'll love it. Your energy will go from a 5 to a 7 pretty quick. But once you can remineralize the body with these carbon chains, you can also use these fulvic and humic acids and citric acid to help move energy into the body, and it activates the electron transport chain, and it also allows your body to exchange toxins in place of nutrients. The step 2 is the gut and the immune support. And the beautiful thing about this is you're now getting rid of some of the weeds and the junk in the gut. And so you'll notice that this is where some of the preparation work for parasite cleansing happens. And some of you do move parasites out of your body in the step 2, but it's also where you have this just much better bowel functions. People tend to get a nice boost of energy here as well. So you start feeling lighter in step 1. Step 2 is where the energy levels start increasing. And then step 3 is the whole body immune support. And this is the one that I find is kind of that transition stage where you, if you do have some old bugs, where you do have some symptoms, sometimes, it's called a Herxheimer reaction, where when your body's detoxing or when you're clearing a disease, you can have some of the symptoms rise to the surface temporarily. So don't be alarmed if in step 3 or step 4 you have a couple days of discomfort off and on. That's pretty normal. Or if your stools aren't just perfect, that's normal as your body's recalibrating. But step 3 is where you're going in and you're doing the deep cleansing. And this is where not only are you getting cleansing in the gut, but your cell-to-cell communication is also increased. And this is where you'll see a lot more of the superoxide dismutase, which is one of the primary antioxidants in the body, as well as glutathione production is increased here. And then that also prepares the body for the systemic detox, which is step 4. And the systemic detox is where there's actually some reinoculation that occurs in the gut. So you're putting, there's herbs that are in the protocols in step 4 that actually help reinoculate the bacteria in the gut. You're going to get more kidney and liver support. You're also going to get some nice heavy metal and environmental toxin. That's the HMET binder. And this is where glyphosate removal happens, is in the systemic detox. So it's a good time to add in some apple cider vinegar, add in water. So I know, Hugh, you and your wife, you're moving into the next, you're on step 3. So now would be a good time to add in some apple cider vinegar, some lemon juice, some water, and that will help things move through that much quicker. So this slide should give you a better perspective on kind of the pathways of the detoxification. So, but Cade, what are your thoughts on the overall protocol on CellCore? How overwhelming is it for people? I know Sierra's on this right now, but what's the big complication that people see when all those CellCore boxes show up?
Well, I think it's more finding somewhere to store it, but also it really is a pretty out of the box, ready to go. That's what I love about it, is when I get my CellCore box, it's got the instructions. I think sometimes, if some people might get a little caught up on, okay, I got to take this one right when I wake up, and then this one's like later on in the morning. I haven't I think that's something that I haven't followed completely. Like, I'll just take them all in the morning or in the evening. I've kind of adjusted that myself, and Sierra's always like, oh, did I do this wrong? It's like, oh, it's fine. Like, just get them in, go get the reps in and get the nutrients in. It is designed the ideal is take those at the times they say, but if you're taking morning and night, it's great. Yeah. Stage 1 was intimidating with all the pills. There is a lot to consume. Like, it's a whole meal pretty much every night and every morning. You got like a meal full of pills or these veggie capsules, but it's actually like, just think of it as this is like pure nutrients, and you're opening up these pathways and creating just a better healing environment for your body. I've loved going through the CellCore process. I think I've done, it's like been about every 6 to 9 months. I've started, gone through the phases, and just it feels really good. My digestion improves, better mental clarity, just more energized. It's an awesome experience.
Yeah, it seems to be, once you get through that initial, like, wow, this is a lot of work, but you just separate things out, and I like my pill boxes. And so whatever you need to do, but just simplify it. It's so needed, because essentially there's 5 different areas that we're detoxing. And it's rare that you're going to have this comprehensive of a cleanse, this gentle. The thing I like about CellCore is I think of it as something different than just a supplement, because supplements have fillers, not a lot of intentionality. It's like, hey, you've got a vitamin C deficiency, here's some vitamin C, which that's helpful too. But it's not, it's just kind of patching things up, whereas we'd rather have you get vitamin C from food. But a lot of you, you're eating great food, but you're not able to absorb the nutrients in the food because you've never done a proper detoxification. And so this is where, when we're adding in like LL37, which usually comes in phase 2 or phase 3, the LL37 helps eradicate a lot of the infections. The KPV helps heal up the leaky gut. BPC 157 is also there for the gut. But the beautiful thing that CellCore does, because it's charged particles, is your peptides now work better. So you have better cell-to-cell communication. And then when you do eat food, you're actually gaining the nutrients. And so one of my clients today is like, well, do I need to be on it? Because he's already done CellCore, and now I've got him on just like a couple different supplements, just like, and he's on a couple peptides. He's been working with us for a couple of years. He's like, shouldn't I be on more supplements? I'm like, no, like, look at your labs. They look great. And so some of you start missing those pills. And so my goal is to get you on fewer and fewer pills as we go. And so that's something that, and then we'll have to, there may be times where we bring CellCore back in and do some systemic detoxification. But essentially, if you look at the 5 categories we're detoxing, one is we're detoxing the cells. And that means you have better structural integrity on the cell membrane. So when the cells can actually have their waste, so think of a car like when it has an exhaust pipe that's all like smoky and it's hard to get the gas to move through. That's what happens to the cells. And then when the peptides land on the surface side of the cell, they can't get that right expression the way that we want it to. And so that gets freed up. And then you go into the organs and tissues. And so now these organs and tissues, which all have a very specific function, now these organs and tissues get freed up. So you have better liver health, better kidney health, your heart works better, your brain works better. You'll notice your thyroid starts improving. All of those structures, the adrenals are the biggest ones that I find. Heavy metals and glyphosate specifically put your adrenals in this fight or flight response. And so now those get freed up so that you can get better hormone production. Then your lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is a repository for all of the red blood cells. So everything that happens in the blood, like when those blood cells die, your white blood cells, your red blood cells, it all ends up in your lymphatic system. And so sometimes when you get puffy, like Cade, have you ever noticed, like, have you ever gone through where you haven't been working out as much, or maybe been on vacation, didn't eat great, or drank too much, and you notice your face got puffy?
Yeah.
That's the lymphatic system. So next time you see someone with a puffy face, you can just tell them like, hey, you should probably clean out your lymphs. Your face looks puffy.
It's like a great like conversation starter.
It's a really good yeah.
Your face looks really puffy today. We need to talk about your lymphatic system. What have you been doing?
Well, when we were at the Chris Voss event last week, Tim Larkin that was there, he wrote the book, When Violence is the Answer.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I can't help it. I always embarrass Jess because I go and I'm like, hey, you're walking with a little bit of a limp. Like, he didn't ask for my medical advice, but I'm like, what happened? Did you hurt your knee? He's like, no, I mean, well, yeah, I guess I did, So, so maybe talking about someone's face, or if their posture is messed up, it might not be any of your business unless they ask for it.
Maybe not the best icebreaker, but it's a great diagnostic tool if you're into that sort of thing.
Yeah, and he's a guy that's got like this, he's like a double black belt jiu-jitsu. He's got a gun range. I mean, he wrote a book called When Violence is the Answer, and I just happened to jump into his limp. Not very smart.
May not have read that one so well.
No, he opened up after a minute, but it was a weird way to introduce myself. Anyway, so lymphatic system. Think if your face looks puffy, think lymphs. This is one of the reasons why for your birthday, many of you get this dry brush from us, because we want your lymphs open. And we're going to, in our retreat tomorrow, I'm going to show you guys how to activate your lymphatic system on a day-to-day basis with some Qigong. The liver and bile ducts, we've been talking a lot about that, and then the colon. And so the very first thing that you'll do in step one is make sure that your colon's moving. And we help a lot of people get great bowel movements who haven't had great bowel movements in years or decades, sometimes ever. And so that's part of it. And then you want to make sure now the liver can move things in, because it all ends up getting excreted from your colon, your sweat. We call them the 5 Ps. You can poop it out, pee it out, you can perspire it out, you can puke it out. And that, I think maybe there's 4 Ps. It's 4 Ps. So that's how you can detox.
I like it.
Yeah. All right. So the challenge today, your Health Accelerator challenge, is to do some detoxification this week by adding in either more vegetables, or doing some type of dandelion tea, doing beet juice, something to get your body cleaned out, because summer starts. Today is the first day of summer. It's summer solstice, the longest day of the year. And so that means it's a great time to detox your body and get ready for a brand new season.
Love that. All right, you heard it here. Get those detox pathways opened up, and let's have an amazing summer. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Regan. Awesome content. And thanks everybody joining us live. And we will see you next time on the Health Accelerator challenges. See you, everybody.
Bye-bye.